ask. So I read the blog entries of the talk that you gave. Where did you get the idea to do the QR codes on the gravestones?
Yeah. So the idea before the QR codes was to read the inscriptions to know who is buried where, because we knew since 1916, since the publication of Dr. Wachstein, the librarian of the Jewish community of Vienna, who is buried on the older Jewish cemetery in Eisenstadt, but we did not know since 1945 where the graves are, who is buried in which grave. And so I thought it's time to analyze this and to identify the graves. So it was necessary to read the Hebrew inscriptions to identify each gravestone. And because I published every single gravestone in the internet with a single unique URL blog post, which can be commented. And I think that this is very important because it's the possibility for descendants to add some information, some important information. And so this was done when it was published in the internet. But what happens to people who are visiting the cemetery and they have no Wi-Fi on the cemetery, for instance, and they are looking for their ancestors? And so I thought we have to mark the gravestones that they can find their searched gravestones. And so came the idea to make QR codes on the gravestones as a service for the people who are visiting the cemetery. And now we are ready, both cemeteries in Eisenstadt, the older one and the younger one, ready done, and every gravestone, together there are 1,400 gravestones, have a QR code.
Now, let's see, I have two questions on that one. Is first of all, if you don't mind sharing, where did you get the funding to do this, or is that a complicated question?
No, it's not complicated. It's very easy to answer. The project was not extra funded. I must correct. It's a little bit complicated because there is a contract between the Austrian government and the Jewish community. Just 10 years ago it was made, and the sense is to finance the renovation of Jewish cemeteries all over Austria. So it means to make fences around it and manual works. But this money, and this is a 20 million euro, about 20 years, is not for identifying the inscriptions, for archiving the inscriptions. But I think this is the priority to make it, because between a few years we can't read the inscription. So when I published my book, only one example, when I published my book about the younger Jewish cemetery, I have many gravestones which I could read in 1993 to 1995 very clearly. And when I came again there in 2006 2016 and 2017, when I published it online, it was not readable. In nearly not 20 years, it was impossible to read the inscription. So in 2016, I would not have known who is buried here. So I think the most priority would be to archive the inscriptions, who is buried on in which grave, who is buried on the cemetery, and then we can compare it with the death books, and then we can make fancies around it.
If the death books are available.
Yeah, if they are available. Yeah, in Burgenland, which was former Western Hungary, we have the death books, the birth books, the marriage books. This is a special situation in other than in the other regions of Austria.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was Hungarian law since 1895.
Interesting. And then, how long, like for instance, when we were visiting the other day, there was the two men who were working on it, and how long has it taken to put the codes on?
Not long.
No,
not long,
okay.
because the URLs have been existing,
Okay.
and then we produced the QR codes, and the first idea was to produce them in a factory.
Ah, yeah. Sure.
And they were brought on with a little chain on the gravestones, because we thought this is the best way to do it. But many of the QR codes were stolen in the 2 or 3 years
I was
since then.
wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And therefore now we looked for another solution, and yeah.
Punching them in.
Yeah, but this is not such a much. This is not so much work.
Okay.
I'm wondering why not other cemeteries offer this service.
Yeah,
don't know.
that was. I mean, one thing that I wanted to convey, sort of.
Yeah. Oh, I can give you an answer, because to produce the QR codes is not the big work.
No.
But
The database.
it makes only sense if there is a unique rule for each stone.
Right.
And this is much work.
That is a lot of. Do you maintain it yourself, or
Yeah.
do other people?
To publish it, to read it out, to write it, to put it in the internet, and to translate it as at the younger Jewish cemetery. Some gravestones I translated to at the older Jewish cemetery. I did alone.
Wow.
Of course. This is one approach, is the technical approach. But there is a second reason for doing it. This is a only religious reason, because the most important mitzvah around the death, the Jewish death, is to know the grave of the dead people. And therefore, yeah, I thought it's important to do it.